We got beaten every phase of the game, from offense, defense, special teams, coaching, you name it, and shocks me. You know, never expected for the game to turn out like this. Certainly, you know, a shock.
You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines for the Week 4 recap. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And another profitable week for the O-line.
We're doing good this year, buddy.
Yeah, it's starting out well. Tomorrow we'll find out if we can continue it, but Rex Ryan was shocked. You weren't shocked.
No.
Bittersweet victory.
Oh, to say the least. And I still think there should have been a penalty on that hit.
Absolutely.
It was 2 steps.
He took 2 steps. We watched it. We were watching it as it happened. We were on the phone.
And if you've listened to any of our podcasts before, we've never been ones that want the quarterbacks to be protected. We call bullshit. I called bullshit on a Locker hit. They gave the Jets a penalty for the unnecessary roughness when he was down. The guy just fell on him. Didn't drive his helmet in, shoulder in, nothing. Just kind of fell on him, flag. And we were talking then, too, and I said, oh, that's a bullshit penalty. And this one was a penalty, not just because he got hurt. I did the one Mississippi thing, and it was 2 Mississippi before his helmet hit him in the chest, which wasn't even the hit that hurt him. It was the guy on the other side that dropped his shoulder as he was flying into him, is where the injury occurred, when his foot was planted weird and it just twisted his body in a way that his hip. And I'm like, hip? Fuck, it doesn't look like he should have got hurt. But,
no, it was a fluke injury, but definitely it should have been a penalty. And, the fines don't necessarily help.
And it would have mattered anyway, even if they would have called it.
It was a fluke injury.
Doesn't bring him back for any sooner. And we're coming up on the toughest stretch of our season. Right when he goes down and he's playing. He's looked this year. I wasn't sold on him going into the year. He's the best quarterback we've had since Steve McNair.
No, and I'll be a witness to that. I mean, you're like me, a glass half full kind of guy, or glass half empty kind of guy when it comes to our teams. But you'd really been telling me that you thought he looked like a quarterback, and you'd been saying that since week 2. And you were actually gaining a lot of enthusiasm for him. You just wished they'd taken the kid gloves and a leash off of him. But you were quite enthusiastic about Locker.
And he has an arm. The man has an arm. That, if anybody saw the Nate Washington 77-yard touchdown where he ran into the ref, he was 3 yards behind Cromartie, and the ball was underthrown, or the ref wouldn't have even been in play there. If that was Locker, it would.
Oh, I was going to say, didn't Fitzpatrick throw that ball?
Yeah,
okay.
But if that was woefully underthrown, that's why Cromartie was able to get back and make that a close play. He was wide open. Fitzpatrick threw that thing as hard as he could. And we don't throw a lot of deep balls.
Well, and why did you suddenly go to the deep ball throw when Locker wasn't in there? That's the part that really surprises me, because I made the joke to you, well, when was the last time you saw a Titans throw put a ball in the air for more than 20 yards anyway? And so suddenly Fitzpatrick comes in and you're doing deep roots. Explain that to me.
Okay, well, here's my thinking on it. Is that because when he came in, it was what? 23-10 or 31-10, something like that. Or 31-13, I think, and it was early. No, it was only 23.
I wasn't watching much of the game by that point. The game was done.
No, it was only 23-10. or 23-13 or something. And he got hurt. And I think they just didn't want to give him any momentum. If you throw a short pass, a 15-yard pass, and it gets picked off, which he almost threw, it changes the momentum of the game and it puts the Jets right back in it. I think if you throw it deep and it's picked off, it's a punt.
Well, yeah, that's just what I was going to say. I mean, there are a fair number of interceptions that quarterbacks throw that are functionally punts.
Yes. So I just didn't want him to give up a play that would turn the momentum of the game. I even said it to you. This seemed like a game the Titans could lose.
Because as I said, we're glass half empty.
Well, and I did. I said it.
With good reason, both of us.
Well, when your team was expected to do very little and your quarterback comes out looking like a quarterback that can compete, and in this day and age, you need to throw the ball to win. You can't. There's no teams running the ball that are successful. You need to run the ball in the winter and in the playoffs. But if you can't throw the ball to put up points and get big chunks of yards, you're never keeping up. And I don't care what team you are. So we looked like we had the quarterback to do it. And our young receivers are making plays. Kendall Wright had a good game. Hunter's only had 2 catches, but they're both for touchdowns. And the catch he made on Sunday was fantastic in the end zone. It's now, I don't know what we have. We've got Kansas City, Seattle, and San Francisco are our next 3 games.
But your defense is really good.
I know.
Your defense is really good, and you can hold KC to 13 points. Can you score 14?
But that's the thing. How much are we going to put on how much pressure does that put on the defense? But
Fitzpatrick isn't the worst fill-in guy. Because your entire game plan thus far this year has been, as I noted, short passes, high percentage routes, run the ball. If you've got to have a guy to fill in for a while, Fitzpatrick isn't the worst. His arm strength is roughly equal to mine. Not good.
Here's the problem. Why we were successful in offense and why he had time was because Jake Locker is becoming what they want Kaepernick and RG3 and Russell Wilson to become. Passers that run, not runners that pass. That's what he'd become. He'd kept so many plays alive with his legs. And
Aaron
you know,
Rodgers.
From the San Diego game.
I'm not saying Locker was about to be Aaron Rodgers.
No.
But you know what I mean. It's the model.
But he runs when he has to, but he's looking downfield. It's not, okay, we're running, where you're giving you one look and you're running. That's not how they were operating. And they were slow. It was slowly coming. You saw it in the drive against Houston when they lost the game. He took them down in the 4th quarter to put them ahead. And in San Diego, the last drive of the game, when they needed him to throw, and they let him throw because the game situation dictated it, he was very successful. And then they came out against the Jets, and that's all they were doing. It was his game. And then he gets hurt. It was so exciting to see a Tennessee team, for once, put up points and not try and win the game 17-14 or 13-10. Because you can't win that way consistently in the NFL anymore. You've got to put up 24-31 points to win. The rules dictate it.
Absolutely, but you're going to have to go back to the other way, and you're not a terrible team for doing it. You've got a very underrated defense. You're gonna win the time of possession battle by dinking and dunking it. It's boring. It's not what you want with Locker, but I don't write you guys off yet. Though the next 3 games do look pretty horrific.
And I just wish we got Seattle and Tennessee instead of in Seattle.
Yeah, on the other hand, that was a loss anyway.
To who?
Seattle
and Tennessee? We'd beat them.
Oh. Wow, a little swagger.
Well, what have they shown on the road?
Some great luck that saved us money.
No, I know.
I'm just going to briefly summarize that too. So in this week of betting, We hit our parlay where we had KC covering 4.5 and Indy covering 8.5. The one other team we discussed about for that parlay bet was Cleveland, so we were good any which way. You know,
we would have made more
we
money had we took Cleveland.
Not much.
No, they were like plus what, 130? They were like 3-4 point
Not
underdogs.
On the spread. Not on the spread.
But we would have taken them to
bet
win.
A money line, but yeah, we did talk, but that's irrelevant. So
no, I know
that cashed early for us. Like those games were out of reach. You know, it's not cash till it's cash, but those games were looking pretty out of reach early. So I thought, oh, worst case scenario, which it looked like it was going to be, we were going to make $6 off our $30 bet. Still a nice victory, because a win's a win's a win. And then, miraculously, Matthew Schwab, which is the correct pronunciation, threw a brutal pick six. Seattle ended up pushing, which saved us $10. So we made $16 off $30 wagered. That's a hell of a return.
Not bad, my friend.
No, we made more than 50% on our money. So we're rolling.
And if Jay Cutler wasn't Jay Cutler of 2011, we probably win that one too.
He forgot to take his insulin. I swear that was it. Cutler is a diabetic. I'm not making fun of diabetics here, but he did look like a man who had not taken his medicine. Those picks were brutal. The fumbles, not so much because he was being swarmed, but every year you're going to see at least 2 games like that out of Cutler. We just happened to catch a bad one.
But that Schwab pick against Seattle, Schwab. You say Schwab, I say Schwab. Anyway, that pick was the same pass that Tennessee returned for a touchdown in their game. Same pass, same thing. There was nobody out there but one receiver. And it's the same. It was the same play. Well, that 5-yard curl to the side, I don't get why you throw from the near side to the far side when it's against Richard fucking Sherman. Probably the best cover corner in the league right now.
Well, and not to mention when the heat's a lot more than you expected and you're falling backwards. And so Kubiak's saying that Schwab had no opportunity to audible out of a horrible play call.
What's
it brings up a couple of questions. Why can he not audible out? Why did you put in the horrible play call? Do you not trust him to audible? And even then, a good decision there is eat the fucking ball.
Yeah, because wasn't there like 2.5, 3 minutes left in that game?
Oh, yeah. And your defense has been playing tremendously well. You've still got a 7-point lead at that stage. All you want to avoid is the disaster. Worst thing, yeah, you punt. I mean, because your defense has... They ended up limiting Russell Wilson in almost 5 quarters of play to 127 yards.
I'm still not sold on him as a quarterback.
No, neither am I.
But
I'm just saying, the worst thing you can do is what you did. Just eat the ball.
Okay, but this goes back to the point we made a couple of podcasts ago. Nobody can run the ball to eat the clock. You have Ben Tate and Arian Foster. Arian Foster is a beast.
Well, and he'd been running for 5 yards a clip. That gets down to, why did they call that play in the first place?
That's what I'm saying.
Run the ball for another 40 seconds. Who knows? He might bust it. He's running for close to 5 yards a clip in that game.
But you're Marlon. At that point, I don't know what this timeout situation was, but you're either going to force him to burn a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
You may get a first down. another first down there. Was it third down, though? I don't know.
I believe it was third down, but you're still
Okay.
going to force either a timeout or 40 seconds off the clock.
Yeah.
And Houston's defense had really bottled up Seattle. There was the likelihood of Seattle driving 70 yards for the tying touchdown, slim.
Yeah, but they were almost at
Really?
midfield. They were almost at midfield. They would have punted, and if the way that Colquitt punts, I've seen it.
Yeah, well, even if the worst case then, so we call it a touchback, that's 80 yards. Houston's defense has been playing well enough that the likelihood of Seattle driving down for the tying touchdown, tying, mind you, not even winning, really slim.
And
Ridiculous
I didn't see
play call. The notion that Schwab couldn't audible out of it seems ridiculous to me in this era.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that they had got the play in too late, and he didn't have time. Is the only excuse there. But
that's not an excuse either. I watched that
No.
in the last 2 years with Norv Turner running the Chargers.
No, it's not an excuse, Marlon, but that would not be on Schaub. That's all I'm saying, is that if he didn't have time to make it, you're basically throwing your
It's
coach
a
under the
combined
bus.
fuck up. So I mean, either.
Granted,
but
but
here's the simple answer: you eat the ball for the sack. You don't float a ball that I could time with a sundial out across the opposite side of the field when you're not even on your own feet against one of the best ball hawking defenses, probably the best ball hawking defense in the league. You don't do that. What you do is you tuck that into your belly and you go down. That's the quarterback terrible decision. Whoever gave him that play to run in that situation, that's the coaching decision. They're both fucked up.
See, but that's where a quarterback has no autonomy. Or no balls, one of the two. Like, if you're just on autopilot and everything they call you run, what's the point? Like,
Well,
unless he's so beaten down from what they say to him, if he does audible out of plays, that he doesn't want to do it anymore? That's the other explanation. I'm not audible and out of plays because I just get ripped if I audible out and it doesn't work.
Well,
what would have
in
been
any
better?
case, both the coaching staff should never have put in that play. I don't know who their offensive coordinator is right now.
Well, I'm ecstatic that they lost.
Oh, and we believe this proved Houston should be 0-4.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
they should be talking about them like the Giants.
Or the Steelers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
they're
that
not-
one saved us a bunch of money, and bless you, Randall Schwab. Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew Schwab.
Well,
Randall's inbred brother.
I don't think,
These are all references to a National Lampoon piece from the 70s. But
which was quite funny, which took us years to find online. So I could read it.
yeah, he's totally Schwab right now. Utterly Schwabian performance.
And the other two games, like you said, Giants and Kansas City, Indy and Jacksonville, there's nothing even worth talking about. It was blowouts. I was a little concerned in Jacksonville when it was 3-3 at the end of the first quarter because I was out running errands and stuff in the morning and didn't see a lot of the morning stuff.
Yeah, I was skipping over to it a bunch. I didn't have a lot of fear.
No, but I didn't. I was just hearing updates on
yeah.
CBS radio, and it was like, at 3-3, Indy not looking good on offense. I'm like, oh, they do this all the time when they play Jacksonville. But then by the time I got home, it was in the 30s to 3. So, and Kansas City and the Giants was 7-7. And I'm like,
I was more worried
man.
about that because the first half was. I
That's
was a
what
little
gives me
nervous
hope.
about the 4.5, and then Dexter McCluster's absolutely fucking gorgeous punt return. Though the spin move at the start is flashy, it didn't really do anything. It was his moves in the middle of the field. where he saw the angles coming up and then would cut. Those are the parts that made me just go, holy fuck.
Well, Kansas City's offense is what gives me hope against Tennessee this weekend. That's where my hope lies, that our defense can play. We can get 17 points. But a winning week is a winning week.
Yeah, we took it, and
if you look at
unlike last year, where our luck was bizarrely atrocious. I mean, it was almost like a test as to whether we could continue by losing games in the last 45 seconds. This year, we've had some luck so far, and we're making the most of it. So,
and that doesn't even count the bets I made. Well, I'm kind of going that way on my own personal bets where I do long shots and shit for $1.
Yeah, I won't be a
That
party
was
to
just
those.
terrible this week. Chicago in both of them. Fuck. That's $80. Bet lost on Chicago. You fucking on $2 bets.
Well, and it was all Cutler. I mean,
Fuck.
the Lions are a fine team, and they deserved that win. But I still think we were right. I still stand by the pick. We just, 5 turnovers from Cutler, I believe.
Yeah, you can't win like
Two
that.
of them turned into touchdowns instantly by the defense. And that's what really determined a lot of the victors this week was turnovers.
Tennessee.
Even Miami and New Orleans tonight in the Monday night game. Suddenly, the game was super tight. Miami had been moving the ball very, very well, constantly. Oh, here's a pick. Here's a fumble. And the game was out of reach. And Miami cannot catch up.
Well, you can't. New Orleans, you can't give them short fields. It's like Denver.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to make teams go 80 yards and hope that they make a mistake.
Oh, and they'd held New Orleans. New Orleans punted, I think, 3 times in the first half. That's a victory for a defense.
Well,
But then
Cameron
when your
Wake,
offense,
too.
yeah, well, but they were still doing a nice job. It was 14-10. Miami had been moving the ball with some authority. This is a nice, tight game. And, to spout the old cliche, loaf of bread from Tannehill, who now, by the way, has 6 fumbles on the year.
Ooh, and he threw 3 picks today.
Yeah.
That's Geno Smith territory.
Oh, yeah, that's...
The Black Mark Sanchez. Geno Smith. With his own butt fumble. They each have a butt fumble.
You see, I think Miami should look at the rider in the contract that, if he fumbles anymore, his wife must enter the porn industry for Tannehill.
Well, that's okay. Todd Haley's wife, I think, is taking that over.
Looking forward to that post.
That'll be up tomorrow. Offensivelines.ca. Todd Haley's wife.
I want to talk briefly about a surprising Chargers victory.
Yes, I was going to let you get to that. Jesus, you going to ramble on about them now?
Not much. I'm more going to ramble on about Dallas's idiocy. Okay, do you know how you beat the Chargers? It's not hard. You run. You don't even have to do a no huddle. You just run a hurry up. You don't let our defensive personnel change. And you dink and dunk all the way down the field. The Chargers are incapable of stopping it. That's what Houston did to come back. That's what Tennessee did to come back. It's simple. But in Dallas, everything was the old school, full huddle up, let our defense get their personnel on, let them get position. I don't understand. It's really that simple to beat the Chargers. But Dallas didn't do it, ever. It was amazing. The whole thing felt like a comeback waiting to happen for the Cowboys. But no, They just looked like a team from the early 90s. 40 seconds off the clock. You watch film, we can't deal with it. We can't run with the young athletes. Amazes me. I'll take the win, but seriously, Dallas is terrible.
Well, I was watching that drive where they fumbled at the goal line.
Which I assumed was going to be a touchdown and then leading to the inevitable Chargers collapse.
No, well, my point on that drive, they're down 10. There was 5 minutes left when I turned over.
Tons of time.
But it wasn't. This was my point. Their clock management. I thought Jason Garrett not calling the plays. But Marlon, you're talking about the rest of the game. I'm talking about 5 minutes down 10. They didn't hurry. They wasted 3. There was just over 2 minutes left when they fumbled at the goal line. They had the ball at the 50 with 5 minutes left.
Oh, and 3 minutes would have been plenty, but no urgency. And seriously, my defense cannot run with those guys. You saw how the Eagles came back. You saw how Houston came back. You saw how your Titans came back against the Chargers. You don't even have to run a no huddle. You just have to run a slight hurry up. Pagano is incapable of getting the right personnel on the field, and with the Chargers on defense, maybe there is no right personnel. Weddle had a great game, by the way. And yeah, this is me talking after a win, by the way. But
they won the game. They could be 4-0, dude.
Yeah. One of our teams should be, well, you're 3-1.
We should be 4-0. Well, we could have been 4-0, but we could have been 1-3. We could be 1-3.
Hey, the Chargers are entertaining. I'm excited about the victory, and they brought this up on the telecast, and I still kind of like it. Rivers threw his 200th touchdown to Antonio Gates against the Cowboys. His 100th touchdown thrown was to Antonio Gates versus the Cowboys.
That was a great
Fuck
pass.
You, Cowboys.
That was a
Rivers
great pass.
threw some great fucking passes.
But that was a Rivers throw where you're thinking, oh, don't throw it. He was kind of.
Oh, and it came out on that funky sort of Tyrannosaurus Rex arm. Like, how, when his feet aren't planted at all, does he take his entire upper arm against his chest, flip it out from the side, and throw that perfect 25 yards through the air in stride to Gates? God, it's nice to have Phil back, man.
Well, I don't know what they're doing. Well, Woodhead's been big, too, for you guys.
Oh, he's best free agent pickup for the Chargers probably in 10 years. The guy's just a football player. Sorry, he's utterly huge. Like, we lost Freeney, and don't really want to diminish Freeney, but not that big a loss. I mean, he was helpful, but he wasn't the Freeney of the Colts,
Yeah.
No, Rivers is throwing some beautiful balls because, most of the pass plays don't take 6 seconds to develop. Mike Martz got roasted over the coals because all of his pass plays required 5 seconds to set up. Why wasn't Norv Turner taken to the same oven for what he did with the Chargers over the last 3 years? When you have a bad O-line, what you do is you get the ball out quickly. And almost no one has a quicker release than Phillip Rivers.
No, he's looking. Everybody's wondering what was wrong with him. Scheme.
Yeah, exactly. 100% correct. So I bet against my Chargers in our Pick 5 pool and in my football pool. I'll always take a win over a pick.
Oh, Pool is always secondary. That's why we don't bet on our teams.
Exactly.
Because I never want to cheer against them.
It goes team win, pool, and we don't gamble on them for our money.
Yeah, except for fantasy, and that's turned out to be a mistake.
I owned Phillip Rivers for a lot of money last year, and it was crushing. This year I could have bought him cheap for nothing and had one of the top QB producers for no money.
Yep.
But, oh well. I'm happy with.
Live and learn.
All right,
buddy.
Last game I just want to talk about is, and this is just super briefly, the Steelers are 0-4. Fuck you, Steelers.
That doesn't hurt my feelings. Oh, and I'd like to also throw out a big fuck you to the Baltimore Ravens, who fucking stink. Joe Flacco's a hack.
5 picks? That's like, what, 20 million a pick?
Yeah.
25 million a pick?
He's fucking awful. I don't care. I called it a long time ago.
Oh, so did we, and then I still call him the magician. He turned 5 good games into $120 million. Show me a better trick than that.
They're going to be fucking sucking on that contract for, next 5 years or so? And who's going to trade for him?
Oh, no one.
Brutal. I didn't like any of those quarterbacks they were fucking telling me were the next. Well, I don't mind. Matt Ryan's probably the best out of that group.
I think there are a lot of serious questions about him, too.
Yeah, well, Marlon, they're losing close games, and their defense is fucking decimated. I won't throw that at his feet yet. They're still putting up 23 points, and the defense is giving them nothing.
Well, and in 2 of these games, though, 3 of them, if you count Miami, he's had a chance to make it work in the red zone within 30 seconds. Matty Ice sucks. 0 for 3 this year. In the red zone to tie or win or to make the game interesting.
But no
Matty
running back
Ice,
to speak
my
of.
ass.
No running back.
No, they didn't even use them, actually. Snelling and Jaquez Rogers performed admirably the game before in that thing. You know, maybe it's coaching. Maybe Mike Smith isn't so much a coach as he just inherited a team that exploited weak competition.
Possibly. But with like I said, with the defense, like 3 of your starters out in 1 week for the year, there's not many teams going to recover. And it kills me because we bet them to win the Super or to win the NFC.
Yeah,
and I think
it was a fly. We took an 8-1 shot, and
we're
not going to win it.
But I think they had a shot at it had they stayed healthy. Roddy White hasn't been healthy all year. They're missing a lot of pieces. That you take 4 starters off a team. I don't care who they are. Who's that good?
That's true, but. Anyway, I think that's our recap. What do you think?
So, well, I just wanted to point out that if you look at our last 8 games we picked, we had 6 right, a push, and a Jay Cutler game. So we're not doing too bad.
I like that we got Cutlered there.
Yeah, we did. And it, fuck, 6 out of 8 and 1 push? I'll take it. Fucking every 2 weeks. If we can do that,
oh yeah,
it'll be a really good year.
Oh, that's a hard number, but hey, what we got to do? We're coming back tomorrow with our picks, and we've got a bit of pedigree going right now.
That's right. So listen to our podcast because we're making you money this year. All right. If you want to find our podcast, go to iTunes, search Offensive Lines, or Stitcher for your Android phones. You can visit our website, offensivelines.ca, have the podcast posted there, new posts 5 days a week. You can follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines for any updates to the website and or facebook.com/offensive lines. And if you want to contact the podcast, send us an email, offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. Now it's week 4.
Degenerate fucking gambler.
That was